Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Soul Seeds, where Andra is my guest expert for today. And Andra is a transpersonal and somatic therapist, and we will talk about the topic of integration. So, Andra, thank you for being here, and I would love to know, well, what is integration?
Thank you for having me. Integration is such a funny thing. I see it a lot nowadays. When I first started doing this work around integration, it wasn't really in very many places. And now I just see it everywhere and everybody speaks about it. And the way that they talk about it is that it's space. It's time for you to pause and not take in information, right? Like they'll have like a course and it'll be like 4-week process, 1 week integration, no meeting, and then they'll have a continuation of a course.
Mm,
And I giggle at that because that's not what integration is.
right.
That's part of what integration can be, but integration can be so many different things. When
Mm,
we integrate information, and my work specifically is around integrating like mystical experiences and spiritual insights. When we integrate information, what we really want to do is we want to slow down,
mhm,
yes. We
mhm,
want to digest the information,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to embody it.
Yeah.
And usually integration, depending on what you're integrating, if it's really intense spiritual experiences or spiritual values, the work of integration can take the course of a lifetime. It's not going to be 1 week. It's not,
Yeah,
it's
if
not,
only.
it's right. It's not going to be one weekend of,
Mm,
sitting in a cabin and reflecting on your meditation retreat.
sounds
It's
lovely
going to
though, but yeah, that's not what integration is.
No, it's taking that knowledge, that wisdom that
Mm,
has been shown to you in
mm,
whichever way that may be. Maybe it's that wisdom has come to you through a book, maybe a meditation retreat,
mhm,
maybe um, maybe a course,
mhm,
maybe schooling, maybe you know, uh, like a healing process with a therapist or a coach, right?
yeah.
And there's a new experience that floods the system. And in integration, we take that new experience, we take that new wisdom, and we work with it meticulously
Mhm,
up to a point where it becomes embodied. It doesn't
mm,
become separate from us.
right.
It's something that is a part of us, right?
Mm,
Like integration is the actual work where we take these insights and we transform and we change and we create new daily habits. We create new ways of being with
mm,
ourselves, with other people, with our families, on the road, in traffic, like
mhm,
even that, right? Like taking
mhm,
our spiritual values and letting them permeate our daily mundane lives.
yeah. So we become it really.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah. And how essential is that in a spiritual journey to integrate those lessons, those teachings, those insights?
I think that's it, right? Like I think it's the most essential thing because
Yeah.
I can sit in meditation and experience joy and
Mhm,
bliss and peace, right? And I can even experience like, oh, I'm so connected to the universe and I'm so full of love.
mhm,
That's beautiful. That's perfect. But can I take that insight that I am connected to everything, that I am love, that I do have a capacity for peace
mhm,
and expansion? Can I take that and put it into my business, into my relationship with money? Can I put it in the way that I live and the way that I speak and the way that I show up for people? Like
mm,
that's the actual transformation, right? Like
yeah.
having these experiences on retreats or on our own is nothing if we don't begin to tether them into our body and
Mhm,
into our relationships, right? And relationships not just with other people, but relationships with
mhm,
ourselves, relationships with the world, relationships with the cosmos, right? Like that's
mhm.
that's it. That's the most significant thing,
Yeah.
part of integration. And
Mhm,
it's not going to be something that happens over a week, over a month. It's a long, long, long process.
Oh, yeah. It's a lifelong process, I think, because you constantly
Yeah.
learn new things, grow as an individual, and it's about constantly like adapting to that and integrating those new teachings, those new insights and lessons. And it's like you said, it's really just a constant process. But I think it's even the hardest to tap into that when you're actually feeling very frustrated or you're on a very low energy or a negative energy. So how do you tap into that when you need it the most?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing there is to not judge ourselves.
Mm.
Yeah, to not feel guilty or ashamed that we're a human being,
Yeah.
right? Like it's okay to be angry, right? It's
Hmm.
okay
Right.
to lose our marbles every once in a while.
Hmm.
And then what do we do? How do we take those spiritual values, those spiritual insights, those spiritual experiences and
Hmm.
allow them to permeate how we move into the future? We're gonna be angry. We're gonna say stuff that we regret. Can we
Hmm.
then go back to that relationship and repair it? Can we
Hmm.
say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I would have liked to do this, but instead I did this, and for that I'm terribly sorry. I hope that you can forgive me. How can I make it up to you? How can I show you that I'm serious about this?
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
doing that work, bringing it back into the relationship, but also, and I know that I'm biased as a therapist, but like also doing our own healing work. Yeah, my again biased opinion is that we struggle to integrate these spiritual insights into our daily life because there's certain blockages in our bodies and our minds and in our fields that come to us, whether it be from our ancestors or things that happened in our lives, whether it be traumatic events or high stress situations. And these are the things that really, really stop us from
Hmm.
feeling the connection that
Hmm.
we so deeply understand is there, and yet we cannot feel it,
Yeah.
whether it be again with ourselves, with other people, with the world, with the cosmos. Like
Yeah.
we need to, as much as, we want to embody love, we also have to look at ourselves. What is within me that is
Mhm.
blocking me from embodying love?
Right.
Right? It's
Hmm.
and and we do that work through a variety of means, right? Like using the body is extremely significant in my academic research of looking at integrating spiritual emergencies. The body was something that everybody speaks about.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything lands back in the body.
We tend to
Yeah.
forget, or not necessarily forget the body, but we see spirituality as mostly like what's something that happens in the mind, the transformation that happens in the mind or in the soul. And then we tend to neglect our body with that.
Yeah, right. Like so much of spirituality is what's called an up and out thing.
Mm.
So you're going up towards the heavens, up towards the cosmos, right? And you're leaving, you're going out of your body,
Hmm.
right? Like when you think about imaginal journeys and shamanic journeying, like you're traveling, right? You're
Yeah.
traveling out of your body. Um, and the work of integration is taking that up and out and putting it into our body, into
Mm.
and down. Yeah. And from this place, from the body, once we integrate it here, then I think this is where we really can have an impact on our community and our world, right? Because then we
Hmm.
begin to move through our daily life from with this knowledge from up
Hmm.
above.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it doesn't become disconnected from us, but
Yeah.
fits.
It's like that embodied state that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tethered right here, right now.
Yeah. And what would you advise someone who's at the start of this journey? Like, how do you begin to integrate? And how do you know what is the best way for you to do so?
Mm-hmm. Um, Again, biased opinion. I think obviously everything that I'm going to say is biased, but I do like to just name it.
Mm.
Um, I think getting help is significant. We all have blind spots, and in the West, we like to think, that we can do all of this healing work on ourselves. And yes, there is important there's an importance to understanding our self-agency and our power and capacity
Mhm.
to, and the necessity for us to do some of this work by ourselves.
Right.
But there's so much of healing work that happens in relationship with
Mhm.
other people. Yeah.
Right.
There's so much of us that, like one of my core wounds is that I am bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
How am I going to fix I am bad on my own? Because I'm
Mhm.
constantly like my wiring from my childhood is that, oh, well, I am bad in relationship, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna do something bad. And
Mhm.
that for me to heal that has to be in relationship. It has to
Right.
be with other people to reflect something to me that I cannot see
Mhm.
because of my own shadows,
Yeah,
right? So
sometimes you need
unless
that mirror, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why I think that we need to do this work with other people, whether
Mhm.
it be one-on-one with therapists, whether it be in group settings. I think group settings are fabulous for this type of work. Um, and I think that that's really where to start.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if people don't have money for one-to-one therapy or group work because it is expensive, and I
Mhm.
do get that, then using creative practice. Yeah. So
Mhm.
getting really, really creative with oneself about what one is trying to integrate. So
Right.
creative practices can look like anything like journaling, drawing, sketching, painting, movement, yeah,
Mhm.
dance, poetry, taking those insights and sitting with them as long as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the longer we can sit with something, the more it's going to change our neural pathways that have been
Mhm.
so ingrained from by our culture, family, upbringing, etc. The more we can sit with these beautiful spiritual values, the more deeply that they can embed themselves in us and change our habitual patterns and change our bodies and even the way that we sit and stand and speak.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And as you
so
start to integrate them, they will almost like show you the way in how to integrate them even more.
um, yeah, I mean, it's a journey, right? It's a
Mhm.
process. Everything that happens will bring the emergence of something else, and then
Right.
you have to then sit with that emergence and keep moving forward, and you might loop around back to something on a deeper level, and it's all procedural, right? But
Mhm.
but really, even if individuals, like I was talking about, if individuals don't have the money, right, to get creative about it, but
Mhm.
even enlisting the support of a friend,
Mhm.
right? Like there's so many circles and spaces out there right now, and some of them are free, right? Like we need other human beings on this journey.
Mhm.
We try to do it by ourselves, and we've tried to do it by ourselves, but it's not, I think that's I just what like what am I trying to say here? I think that's what's the word? Like I mean, obviously, like I don't agree to it, but I think that there's just such a huge thing there that is missing, like because we're beginning to miss the interpersonal dynamic, like
Mhm.
what happens between me and you, right?
Mhm.
And so much of our lives is our relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So doing this work in with other people is extremely supportive.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for today, Andra. I hope it enlightened a lot of people.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thanks for having me.